Today onwards, we will be starting a new topic. The name of the topic is Web Technology, which is common for all the batches of computer application, humanities computer application, commerce computer application, and also this topic is there for computer science students who are studying science subjects. We know that today we are living in an internet world, a world based on communication. People are completely relying on internet for very many activities, including gathering information and performing all type of transactions in the internet. So internet is part of every human life. Without internet, we cannot think of a day. In the internet, there is network communications, communication between computers. So in order to communicate, if computers are to communicate, each of these devices should be having an addressing mechanism or for a mechanism that is used to uniquely identify each of the computers. In internet communication, most of the communication takes place between or through web communication. In web communication, there is a computer which communicates with a web server which contains a whole lot of information in the form of websites. A website is a collection of web pages. So people rely on these web pages for gathering information as well as conducting transactions. Now, how this communication on the web take place? You know the various terms that you have already seen about web communication like HTML. HTML is a language used for creating web pages, or it is a language of the web. You need a protocol like HTTP, which is used for transferring web pages between the client computer and the server computer. Then there are also other terminologies that you use like web server, DNS, etc. etc. So in this chapter, we will be focusing on all these concepts, and by the end of the chapter, we will also learn how to design web pages with the help of HTML, Hypertext Markup Language. So let me bring in your mind certain things that you already learned. The HTTP protocol. This is the protocol used for communication on the web. Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Then we have a DNS. Now DNS is domain name system or domain name server. You know what are the steps that is taking place when you type the URL, another term, Uniform Resource Locator, which is used to identify every resource on the internet. So once you type a URL, the address of a web page, the client computer, which contains a web browser on which you type the address, transmits this address to the DNS server in order to find out the IP address. So once the IP address is found out, the communication, the client computer and the server computer establishes a TCP connection and the communication proceeds. So there are so many terms that are involved in this: HTTP, HTML, DNS, TCP, IP, etc. The TCP and IP are the underlying protocols used for communication. If I show you an image that depicts the communication on the web, there is a client computer that contains a client program, which is usually the browser. You type the address, and then any message, if to be transmitted to the server, it is broken down into TCP segments. These are manageable units that can be handled through the network. So this TCP segments, that means your messages are broken down into various packets, and these packets are transmitted through the internet which is consisting of various devices like routers, gateways, etc. etc. So with through this routers, it travels to the destination. the destination computer, the server computer. There, these packets are reassembled in order to form the message. So there are a lot of segments, many segments that constitute a single message that is reassembled together. And suppose during the transit, if some of the segments, some of the packets are lost, there is mechanism for retransmitting this data. TCP has got mechanism for retransmitting the data, which will be at the end received by the server. This is how web communication takes place in the internet. Communication on the web is usually categorized into two types. One is client to web server communication, and the other one is web server to server communication. So server to server communication and client to server communication. Two types of communications are there. Now in the web communication, authentication and security are also of important concern. Authentication means when I claim that I am Jose Matthew, I should prove myself. That's what authentication is. When a computer claims, it has to prove what it claims to be. Then security is the privacy of the data that is transmitted through the network. Okay, first we will go through the client to server communication, in which authentication is not a must. It is not usually a compulsory factor. But certain cases, especially when we communicate with the bank servers and so on, there should be authentication. You should prove who you are. When sending information to the server, the username and passwords can be treated as authentication details. And also for implementing security, the data is not transmitted in plain text format. When we send a data, it's not the same data in that format that is being sent to the server. Instead, it is converted into a format that cannot be understood by anybody who captures the information. The security of the communication is implemented by a new protocol called HTTPS, Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. In Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, the Secure Socket Layer Protocol is integrated, SSL protocol is integrated, which encrypts the data before sending it to the server. Also, when a browser requests for a website from the web server first transmits the SSL certificate to the client, and the client checks whether this SSL certificate is valid, which is issued by comparing it with the certificate authority which has issued this, whether it is a valid one or not. So once it is proved that it is valid, the browser starts an encrypted session between the client and the server, and the communication proceeds. This is how the security of the data is implemented. The second type of web communication is web server to web server communication. For example, when you are performing a transaction on an online shopping site, the shopping site server will need to send data, or it need to communicate with a bank server for performing the transaction. So here the merchant server and the bank server communicate with authentication and security by the use of digital certificates, as we mentioned earlier. And the communication is also an encrypted communication, where the data is converted from plain text to cipher text, which cannot be understood by anybody who sniffers the network. And there is also a payment gateway that will act as a bridge between the merchant server and the bank server. Now let us discuss some of the technologies or terminologies used in web communication. Imagine you visit a website hscap.kerala.gov.in, which is nothing but your website used for +1 admissions. Now, when you give the address of the site, the home page of the corresponding website will be displayed on your computer, the client computer. So there is a browser on which you type the URL on your client computer, and this website is stored on a web server. So web server is a machine or a computer which hosts websites. That is the first terminology used in web communication, the web server. And the web server refers to both the computer that contains the website as well as it is also used to refer to the program that is running on this web server machine. The web server program is responsible for satisfying the requests of the client. The request is accepted by the web server program and the requested page is transmitted to the client computer. This is done by the web server program. What are the features that a web server should have? First of all, it should be a powerful machine that is always on 24 into 7. 24 hours into 7 days it should be on. Then this machine should be connected to a high bandwidth internet connection. So there will be a lot of traffic between the client and the server. Many clients will be requesting for information to the server. So there should be an internet connection which is a powerful internet connection which is able to transmit a lot of data. So that's why we say high bandwidth internet connection for transmitting the data. Then this machine may have single or multiple processes for performing various activities. Then it should have a fast access RAM, random access memory, high performance hard disk, Ethernet cards. Ethernet cards are interfaces to which the network communication is given. Then a server operating system. Server operating systems are operating system like Linux based operating systems, FreeBSD, Red Hat, etc. or Sun Solaris or Microsoft Windows Server. These are the server operating system which should be installed in a web server machine. Then it should also have a web server software. What is a web server software? It is a software in which the HTTP protocol is integrated so that HTTP requests can be handled by the server. When a request is arriving from the client, the requested page is delivered to the client is done by this web server program. Examples of web server programs are Google Web Server, Apache Web Server or Microsoft Internet Information Server. All these are examples of commercially available web server programs. To ensure faster internet connectivity and redundant power supply, these web servers are usually installed in data centers. Data centers are dedicated physical locations where servers and network devices that contain mission critical data is installed. So web servers are also installed in data centers. After installation and configuration of the web server, some other software packages like FTP, File Transfer Protocol, email, DNS software, databases, etc. also need to be installed on the web server. Next terminology is software ports. Now we have heard about hardware ports, which are interfaces to which hardware devices, external devices are connected. In a similar fashion, in network communication, two processes are communicating. That means one process establishes a connection with another process. So that means each process should be able to be uniquely identified. For example, the browser tries to establish a connection with a web server. In a computer, there may be several servers, like an email server may be there, a web server may be there, a file server may be there, a database server may be there, a DNS server may be there, etc. Lot of different types of programs may be running on a single computer. So in order to establish a connection, each of these processes should be uniquely identified. To identify these processes or servers, we have an addressing mechanism which is known as software ports. See, these ports are 16-bit numbers used for identifying each and every server programs, services, each and every services. So I meant that some of these services are well-known services. For example, HTTP service, the web server is a well-known service. The email service, SMTP it is called, email, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol is used for establishing a mail communication. So that service is a well-known service. So for identifying each of these well-known services, we have defined well-known port numbers. So I will just give you some of the well-known port numbers. 20 and 21 are used for FTP communication. 22 is used for SSH. 25 is the port number used by SMTP protocol. 53 is the protocol used is the port number used by DNS service. 80 is the port number used by HTTP. 443 is the port number used by HTTPS, and 110 is a well-known port number used by the well-known service POP3, or it's also called Post Office Protocol, which is used for receiving mails. SMTP is used for sending mails and POP3 is used for receiving mails. So these are the well-known port numbers used by well-known services. When you actually type the URL http://www.hscap.kerala.gov.in, after a full colon, these port numbers are also automatically filled by the browser. So that port number will be 80. HTTP is using the port number 80 for communication. So that is how the HTTP server is identified. So if there are many servers in a computer with an IP address, each of the services will be identified through these port numbers. Okay, so what is port number? Port number is a 16-bit number used to identify services on the internet. Next we will talk about the DNS servers. DNS is a particular system used for resolving IP address, as we have seen earlier. When you type the URL of the website, this URL is automatically converted into an IP address. All communication is taking place through IP addresses only. So to do that, we have a special service on the web which is called the DNS, Domain Name System. So this domain name system contains a special database consisting of URLs and IP addresses. In order to accomplish this, the internet contains 13 root servers which is located at different places. These root servers are replicated and placed everywhere in the globe. So when you type a URL, it first checks in the client computer's OS cache memory to find out whether this IP address is already there. If it is not there, it sends a request, a DNS request to the ISP server. If it is found on the ISP server, ISP is Internet Service Provider's DNS server. So if that address is, the IP address is contained in the ISP server, it returns the IP address. Otherwise, it transmits the request to the root server. Any of these 13 root servers. And the root server starts a recursive search in order to find out the IP address of the machine. Now, how this takes place? I will give you an example. Suppose if I want to find out the phone number of a particular student of my class and I don't know the phone number of the student, I can ask his friend. Then when I call the friend, he will reply me, "Sir, I do not know the phone number of this particular person. I can help you by giving the phone number of his brother." Like that, I will continue until I get the phone number of the particular student whose phone number I am searching. So in a similar fashion, this root server will provide address of the TLDs, TLD means top level domains. There are generic top level domains as well as country code top level domains, CCTLDs are there. So if I am asking for, if I am trying to find out the address of hscap.kerala.gov.in, the root server will tell me the address of the in TLD, and I can communicate with the DNS server for in to get the IP address of this particular address URL. I'll go for GOV and then Kerala. So at the end, Kerala will give me the IP address of HSCAP. This is how the IP address is resolved by DNS. Now let us summarize the steps that is taking place to resolve the IP address when an address is typed. The same address, hscap.kerala.gov.in. Now every browser keeps the IP address of the recently visited websites in its browser cache. So first it checks the browser cache for the IP address of the site. If it is not found there, it will check in the operating system cache. The second step is to find out whether the IP address is available in the operating system cache memory. If it is not available there, it goes to the third step of searching the IP address in the local ISP's DNS server. If the DNS server of the local ISP contains the IP address of the URL we are requested, it will be transmitted to the web client. Otherwise, it will start a recursive search starting with the root server. It will send the request to the root server, to the next level in the hierarchy, etc., etc., till the address is found out. And when the IP address is obtained, it is returned back to the client who has requested for this IP address. And this client makes a TCP connection with the web server. That is how the DNS is used for resolving the IP address of the requested URL. And this is how the DNS is working. Okay, in the next class, we will be talking about how web pages can be designed, web designing, and the tools used for web designing. So see you in the next class. Till then, goodbye.